Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make Chicken Lovers Chicken Pie. Why am I calling it Chicken Lovers Chicken Pie? Because we got a whole bunch of chicken in it. I'm sure you've gone to a restaurant and ordered a chicken pie or a chicken pot pie or bought a ready-made one in the grocery store, or that you just pop in the oven and you cut it open and there's hardly any chicken in there. Well, I solved that problem. I came up with my own recipe and I put as much chicken as I want in it. So anyway, what we're going to need for today's recipe is we're going to need, these are just skin, boneless chicken breast. You can use any type of skin, boneless chicken you want. I happen to use the chicken strips because it's easier to cut up, I find. This is about 1.5 pounds. If you like a little bit more, add a little bit more. If you want a little bit less, add a little less. Then we're going to need one large sweet onion, a couple cloves of garlic. We're going to need some carrots. Now, you might ask, why do I not use frozen carrots? I don't use frozen carrots because the way that I do this and sauteing them, the carrots in a little bit of butter and oil, it caramelizes the carrots, gives that nice, brings out the nice natural sweetness to the carrots and the freshness. You could use frozen carrots if you want. I just feel it comes out better this way. And then we need some frozen corn and some frozen peas. Need some flour to thicken up our gravy. We need some thyme and rosemary. Thyme and rosemary, I believe. Yes, those two go together very well. We need some salt and pepper. We need some chicken stock. Probably going to need, I'm going to start out with 1.5 cups, might need a little bit more. I'm going to need a little bit of butter to help the process of making the gravy. A little bit of light cream to give it that wonderful, delicious, decadent mouthfeel. We need some canola oil to get everything start frying. And I'm going to make a 2-crust pie today. So I'm actually going to use a store-bought pie crust. This is just a ready-made store-bought pie crust you get in the dairy section. The reason I'm using a store-bought one opposed to making it is I was just trying to make this recipe as quick as possible, where if you're busy, you're cooking, maybe you're cooking for your family, you could throw this together relatively simple. Really, you just need to cut up some carrots and onions and some chicken, and everything else is done in one pot. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, I'm just going to chop up a couple of carrots for you, show you how I do it. Obviously, you're probably going to need about 2 large carrots. I've quartered this carrot, and I just cut it in half. And cut it again. And then just get 2 or 3 cuts out of that. If you do it that way, it saves it from carrots flying all over your kitchen as you're slicing them up. And you just want to kind of get them as uniform as possible so they all cook at about the same time. I'd say that you probably in total are going to need about 1.5 cups of diced carrots. All right, and then of course we take our onion. This you're just going to rough chop. This is all going to get cooked down well as we fry it. So just about bite-sized pieces. I think this onion's a little big. I'm going to save that for later. And then our garlic. You're gonna, it's hard to see that. I'm just gonna basically slice it up into as small pieces as I can. And that should be good for our purposes. All right, and then with the chicken, as I said, I've already cut most of it. Put on some rubber gloves so we don't cross-contaminate everything. And then, again, I'm just gonna cube those up into about bite-sized pieces. And of course you'll see that the vegetables are going to get cooked anyway, but I did do the vegetables. I'm using the same knife as I did for the vegetables, but I cut the vegetables before I went into the chicken. And that's all I'm going to need the knife for. So now we can put that in the sink. And now, of course, salt and pepper is always to taste. I'm just going to sprinkle. We have the recipe will call for some additional salt and pepper. This is just an addition to that, just so that it gets a little bit of salt and pepper in as we're sauteing up our rest of our veggies. All right, and we can put that aside, and I'll see you back at the stove in a minute. Okay, so got some canola oil here, and we're just gonna kind of coat the bottom of this pan. I'd say probably about 2 tablespoons for right at this moment. All right, and then we're gonna add our carrots in. And like I said, just like we did in the shepherd's pie, I want to get a little bit of caramelization on the carrots. Bring out that nice sweetness. Now would be a really good time to preheat your oven. It's going to be at 350. Once the carrots get caramelized, this actually goes along really quickly. You're going to brown the chicken and probably more or less cook it all the way through, but it is going to also cook in the oven for 45 minutes, so that will ensure that the chicken is cooked thoroughly. That's probably going to take a good 4 or 5 minutes on medium high. You kind of want to stay there and keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't start to burn. But that's going to take a good 4 or 5 minutes. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, you can see the carrots have just started to brown slightly on the edges, gotten some nice color to them. So that's your signal that they're done. Now we're going to throw in our onions. I'm going to leave the garlic off to the side there for a little bit till we get the onions going. Oop, one got out. So again, same thing. We're going to give the onions just a quick saute. And start to get them soft and a little bit of brown. And that's probably going to take about 3 minutes. So I'll see you back in 3 minutes. Okay, our onions have softened up a little bit, starting to get translucent. A little bit of color. We're going to throw our garlic in there. And we're going to stir around. And it takes about 30 seconds, but probably within that time, you're going to start to smell that garlic. And as soon as that happens, we're going to throw our meat in. There you go. I smell it. Okay, I'm just going to push these just off to the edge a little bit. I'm going to turn my heat up to about medium high and get our chicken in. And get that sauteed. Let that sit for a minute and caramelize. I put a little tiny bit of oil in there. And I'm going to throw one little pat of butter in there. Give that chicken a little bit of flavor. A little bit of fat for our gravy. And so basically what we're going to do is we're just going to brown the chicken. Get it all browned nicely. Or cooked. And that's probably going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. So we'll be back when that's done. Okay, I just want to show you that we've got a little bit of brown, some nice brown spots on the bottom. Everything is browning, caramelizing nicely. Now, I am going to put one more little half a tablespoon of butter in there. I said this was good, not low fat or just a diet. All right, now I'm going to turn my heat to medium because I'm going to throw in the rest of my peas and carrots, the rest of my vegetables. I want these to get warm, or at least as warm as the ingredients at the pan before I put the flour and other stuff in it. So I'll turn it down to medium. Get those in there. Incorporate them. And because those are frozen, when I put my gravy in, I want the pan or the chicken stock in. I want the pan to be warm, so I want to warm those through. And you can see we're scraping up all the little brown bits. Okay, I'm going to turn my heat back up a little bit. So I went from medium to about medium high. I'm going to put my flour in. I'll sprinkle it evenly around. And incorporate it. I don't know what the term is. I guess what you're looking for is for the flour to cook just a little bit so it gets the floury taste out of it. To cook it, I guess that's the idea behind it. And we'll just give that a couple minutes to cook. And I can always tell because to me it seems I'm starting to get a little bit of the flour on the bottom or a crust on the bottom again. So to me has always been the signal that my flour is ready to take the chicken stock. All right, so we'll throw our chicken stock in. And that's about 1.5 cups. We might need a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. That will start to thicken up fairly quickly. It is starting to thicken up, and as it heats up more, it's going to thicken up even more. Now at this point I'm going to put my salt and pepper in and my other seasonings, rosemary and thyme. And I'm going to turn it up a little bit more because you want to bring it almost to the boil. And then it will get nice and thick and you'll know whether you need to add a little bit more flour or if it's too thick, maybe a little bit more chicken stock. But you can see how thick that's gotten. I want it to just get a little bit more thicker than that because I'm going to throw some cream in there. Give that a minute. Now again, there's a lot of chicken in there, so it might not be as much gravy as you see in a store-bought bread, just because all the room is taken up by the chicken. But that I think is about just where I want it. All right, so now I'm going to turn it down to medium again. You can see that is thickened up nice. Now, if you want it a little bit more thick or a little thicker, you could add a little bit more flour to it, or maybe even a cornstarch slurry. If you want it a little bit thinner, you add a little bit more chicken stock to it. All right, so at this point, I'm going to add probably about 1/4 of a cup of, I have light cream. You can use heavy cream. This is what I happen to have in the refrigerator, so that's what I'm going to use. Ooh. Give that a stir around. And there we have our filling for our chicken pie. All right, I'm going to turn the heat off now. Then we'll meet you back over at the counter and we'll put it together. Okay, the rest of this couldn't really be any easier. Famous last words. So you're going to take one of your pie crust doughs and you don't have to do anything to the bottom of the pie pan. You don't have to flour it. You don't have to grease it or oil it or anything. Just kind of get your crust in there somewhat even. And just want to kind of gently press it down into the sides. Try not to tear the bottom. And doesn't have to be perfect. Again, if you get it down so it doesn't burst out. Okay, so that's really all that you got to do with that. Like I said, we'll make it look a little prettier when we put the top on, although I'm not really good at pie crust or doing fluting and stuff. So that, you want to put your filling in. Evenly. Just try to pat it down a bit. Don't want any of that to go to waste. Also, I suggest that you put this on a sheet pan when you put it in the oven, just in case it has any spillovers. All right, piece of parchment paper or on some tin foil. All right, and then we got our other crust here, our top crust. Same thing. Now we will make a recipe with doing a homemade pie crust. Homemade pie crust is really easy. There's nothing difficult about it. It's flour, water, some type of butter, but it's messy. You know, you got the flour all over the place, and other than that, it's really not a difficult task. Okay, so you want to put your cover on top, and then you just kind of push it down, and you're gonna just kind of follow in on the bottom crust. So you can see I'm not putting it over it. I'm just kind of bringing it down on top of it. And it's all right if a little bit of the gravy is coming out, because that's going to happen anyway. I like to get it all tucked down in there. And then I will give it a little bit more of a squeeze. I'm not looking for it to be absolutely perfect. If you're really good at doing a pie fluted edge, by all means, go crazy. I want it to look homemade. We spent all that time standing at the stove. Oops. All right. The thing to do is put a couple slits in it, let the steam out, and put it on our baking sheet. And get it in the oven. All right, and that's a 350 oven, and it's going to take about 45 minutes or until your top crust is golden brown, or as golden brown as you want it. If you like it a little less brown, cook it a few minutes less. If you like a little bit more, a few minutes more. I have found that 45 minutes makes it perfect for us. So, okay, Google, set the oven timer for 45 minutes.
45 minutes, starting now.
See you in 45 minutes or thereabouts. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. Should be done. Let's take a look. Oh, looks perfect to me. Keep in mind, you're going to want to let this cool for about 10 minutes before you attempt to cut it. There you go. Chicken lovers, chicken pie. All right, we'll see you in about 10-15 minutes for dinner. Okay, now comes the best part, eating. It's hot, isn't it?
It is delicious though. That's real good.
That is very tasty, if I do say so myself.
And a lot of chicken, so that's good. I love meat lovers part of it.
I mean, this is really an easy recipe, easy thing to do. So much better than a store-bought chicken pie. Not that they're not good. We've eaten plenty of them in our life. But I hope that you try this recipe. I'm sure you'll like it as much as we do. And as always, it's been fun cooking for you. hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget, cherryhillcooking.com.
CherryHillHomeCooking.com.
What is that again?
Cherry Hill Home Cooking.
cherryhillhomecooking.com for the full recipe. Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.
I don't know why I can't get that right.
Wow, that's good. Delicious. Thank you.